From the terror of hired killers trained by the cartels to the war on drugs in the remote jungles of Peru, this is a series about the new cartel wars and the legacy left behind by Pablo Escobar.
So that other traffickers, other, would-be informants would know that this guy hated, informants. His war, and it was an all-out war, was based on one word: extradition. He did not want to get extradited to the United States. And when he killed the presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galan, Galan was platforming for extradition. The assassinations, the bounties on police officers. He downed an airplane, Avianca Airline. He put a bomb at the DAS building in Colombia, which is like their equivalent of FBI, killing hundreds of people.
When Escobar escaped from his custom-built prison, initially there were a lot of opportunities that were missed. For example, telephone technology wasn't like it is today with cell phones. This was back in the days of radio phones. So we could triangulate on his signal, but by the time we got troops out there, we could never find the guy, He had a taxi cab in his garage. So Medellin's a big city like New York. Thousands of taxi cabs. Well, if he's talking on this radio phone and we triangulate on the position, by the time we get there, he could be 5 miles down the road. And he's blending in with traffic because it's just another taxi cab. We never fooled ourselves by thinking that, okay, if we take out the Medellin cartel, cocaine's going to stop. There's just too much money to be made, too much easy money to be made in the drug business for people to walk away from it. You look at the situation in Mexico nowadays, what's going on there is every bit as violent as it was in Colombia back in the times when we were down there. The corruption is, in my opinion, worse in Mexico than it was in Colombia back in the day. It's evolved now into modern day with transnational organized crime. It's all criminal organizations are becoming what we call polycrime. There's a group called Los Pepes that was formed. Pepes stands for People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar. What Los Pepes did is they employed the same terrorist activities that Escobar employed against the government.
They were trying to kill, his kids, his wife, his mother. So Escobar was very, very worried. He really couldn't organize that terroristic war because his main concern was, I need to get my family to a safe place.
I think the Colombian populace was so tired of the indiscriminate bombings and innocent people being killed.
The deal was, I'm gonna be in my own house. Nobody can come in and visit me. I'm gonna hire my own prison guards. He had chalets built on the side of the prison. He had a soccer field. He had the national Colombian soccer team come in on weekends, on Sundays, and play with him. And we knew nothing was going to happen. He was going to continue his drug trafficking activities. He still was going to kill people. And now he's protected.
He recognized the value of enforcing his will on others through violence. Let's say you were a police officer or a politician. He would have his attorneys or whoever, one of his representatives, come into you, and he would sit down with you, and they'd pop the briefcase open, and they'd say, do you recognize the people in this photograph? And it would be your wife and children coming out of your front door of your house. Well, do you recognize this school? And it'd be your children coming out of the school. Or do you recognize the people in this car pulling out of this driveway, and it's your mom and dad, and they're leaving their home? Sends a message, and you say, what do you want? And they said, a simple phone call will earn you $20,000 or $50,000 or whatever it is to alert us to an operation or anything that we need to know to keep us from being busted. Or you could say goodbye to your family. I first heard of Pablo Escobar when I was working as an agent in Miami. The group that I was assigned to, the enforcement group, we were known as the Caribbean group, and we did a lot of importation cases, which was your larger cases. It was multi-hundred kilograms of cocaine coming in, and the Medellin cartel were the big guys on the block at that time. And who was the head? Well, you had Rodriguez Gotcha, but you started hearing about Pablo Escobar over and over. They had their smuggling routes established. They could use aircraft, they could use fishing boats.
Back in the 80s, a kilo in Colombia was about 1,000 to produce, 4,000 to transport it to Miami. So your initial investment was $5,000, right? In Miami in the mid-'80s, it was going from anywhere to $50,000 to $70,000. In New York, anywhere from $80,000 to $90,000. And in Europe, over $100,000, right? That's a hell of a lot of cash. Let me just give you a little background on Pablo Escobar. People in Medellin loved him. They wanted to work for him. They wanted to be like him. He built churches, gave a lot of money to the poor. He had that Robin Hood, mystique. But if you look at the other side of Escobar, he's the inventor of narco-terrorism.